Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, Wise.
And welcome to another episode. I am your host, W-I-Z-E. I have a very special guest on. She's an author, an entrepreneur. She has an amazing weight loss story. I can't wait. I need to hear this because I have to lose some pounds. Welcome to the show, Sophie Chiche.
Wow, Sophie Chiche, but that was pretty close. Yeah,
I should have known. I should have gotten it right.
all good. You said it very charmingly. I like it.
How's it going?
It's going so good. Like I spent a minute with you already, and I'm like laughing my head off. So
Listen, when I just want to have fun when I come on and just have people tell their stories and just put out positive content where people could come and listen and learn something, or if not, maybe it was something they just needed to hear.
Good. That's beautiful.
All right. So me personally, I weigh 300 pounds. I'm 6'1".
Okay.
I've actually started today. I started today. I'm not going to say a diet because diets don't work, but I've started changing the way I eat and stuff like that, and focused more on drinking more water and not so much juice. But tell us your story.
Well, so I went up to 350, which is 50 more than what you are now, and I'm 5'9", so kind of closer to a ball, round thing. And I started gaining weight a lot when I was about 10 years old. I think there was some sort of call to the house, like emergency, like we just did another weigh-in for her, and she's 50 pounds heavier than last year at 9 years old or something. And so that was the beginning of and I was in France, and it was 40 some years ago. And I don't know, the consciousness was definitely, like, even what you just said, like diets don't work. Like that alone makes me so happy. Because at 10, they started putting me on green beans and chicken, and then sent me to fat farms and do all sorts of horrible things to this poor little girl. And, as you're right, like diets don't work. And so more often they were doing that, the more I was gaining weight. So I would lose, whatever, 10, 15, and then I would gain 30. And that took me to 350. And there was that one day where at the time there were still the scales, where you see the needle,
Yeah.
And it stopped at 350. And when I got up on the thing, it was like,
so it just went around.
It just like I'm 400, I don't know. But what it said was 350. And that was an alert, that was a bit like, wow, I'm part of the like largest people tribe, right? Like, that's it. I'm on the side of and it was hard, because it was, as being overweight, everything gets a little hard, you get it out of the couch. It was hard. And certainly trying to go to the gym, and I would break a bone and sit in an airplane, and they have to bring you this giant thing, to extend your seatbelt. It's just, it's rough, the world we're in, especially in France, like 30, 40 years ago. You couldn't find clothes. You'd sit on a chair and you'd be like, oh my God, I am going to break it for sure, anywhere you went. It was hard. And it's also the quest, the beautiful quest of who am I? Why am I doing this? Why am I twice the size I should be? And why am I eating instead of, feeling sad when I'm sad? And that led to a beautiful journey. So I'm sure we're going to talk a little more about that. But there was definitely trying to resolve this issue became the most beautiful part of my life, really.
And that's what's so amazing about what I do with my podcast is I speak to people everyone has a story. Everyone has experienced something in their life, and you just can never know what that person's story is until you speak to them or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like in my situation, I was widowed at 31.
Wow.
and was lost for quite some time, but I got myself back up, and I fell in love again, and I'm building myself back, and I'm just so happy that I found what I'm passionate about. Because at 40 something, I didn't know what I have a good paying job and everything, but I didn't know what was my passion. I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I found so many different things that I was good at, and there was things that I enjoyed doing, but I wasn't passionate about it.
Yeah.
And when I started doing the podcast, which I had been wanting to do for the longest, is just stuck. I was stuck in my mind. I was
Yeah.
making excuses to why I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I would say, "Oh, I sound horrible. Who would want to listen to me? What am I going to talk about?" And I'm a
Oh.
big sports fan, so originally I was going to go into sports, but when I started, I started with talking about, especially because I had started right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I was talking about the pandemic. I was talking about the politics here in the states. I talked about the George Floyd situation, and I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed doing the podcast, but I didn't enjoy the content.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to switch it to more conversations with guests coming on and telling their stories, that's when I really, really fell in love with it and wanted to keep doing it. And in the 2 years now, April will be 2 years, I've probably recorded, oh my God, over almost 200 episodes.
Hmm. Yeah. You found your spot. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I've just released and the thing is, at first it was just strictly audio. I didn't do video, so now I'm doing videos as of September. So I have 100 and something episodes that I have 100 and something episodes that I've done just simply audio
Hmm.
that I'm getting out now. So I'm already having my podcast already established as audio was great, but now I'm building up a YouTube channel with my podcast because now I have video, I have extra content, and it started with a guest, just having coming on and says, "You really don't do video?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Eventually I will." They're like, "You sure you don't want to do video?" And from that moment, I just press record. I says, "I'm a video podcast now as well."
Just like that. I love when life dictates, and tells you what's next. It's beautiful that you listened, and a lot of people, they just keep bypassing the messages, the clues, the hints, and then sometimes the message just gets louder and louder and louder and and more I don't know, and destructive. But I love that you heard it. It's really cool to be with you. I can tell you're good people.
Oh no, it's been a journey, and I've experienced. It's like everyone. I said everyone has a story, but everybody has, but it's how you pick yourself up, especially during the bad times.
Yeah.
And for a while, when I started the podcast, I was loving it, but it was during a pandemic. It was like so many people were dying. I lost a couple of close friends
Yep.
to COVID. So I didn't know how I felt about the success. I didn't know how to feel about, should I feel good about the podcast doing well, but we're
Or
going through
should you
such
feel bad about other
yeah, like
people?
yeah, so
Yep.
and then my nephew said, "Listen, man, you can't worry about that. You have to enjoy your success. You have to enjoy and receive your gifts, receive the blessings that are out there. You should be grateful that you're getting the downloads, you're getting people to listen to you." And so since then, I was like, okay, then I've come to appreciate it more, knowing especially that during such a dark time, something positive came out of it.
And also think of it as like you were helpful for people, because if when people are down, you're down with them, you're not very helpful in some ways. I mean, for me, you have to be true, like if you're down, you should be down. It's like listening to yourself. I mean, I would say I've lost maybe of my 200 pounds weight loss, there's probably 80 in there or 100 that's just not living my true life, and just bullshitting and being polite and doing all sorts of like, let me pretzel myself into whatever you want me to be, and that's I would eat just to just
Oh, you ain't got to tell me I'm
cover.
Puerto Rican, so we love food.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've
French, we
come,
do food pretty well.
yeah, yes, yes.
But you
So
know what? The food, the weight I gained did not come from eating joyful food, with friends, and it didn't come from
no,
that. It,
it came from the fast. No, believe me, I've come to realize I need to prepare my own meals more than going out to eat and eating fast food, especially here in the States. You're surrounded by a number of fast foods and junk food. And so I'm focusing more on preparing my meals here at home because that way I can control what I eat
Yeah.
and what I eat.
Yeah. But it's also, when you're sad and you eat chocolate instead of feeling you're sad, it's to me, it's not just the food. The food is a piece, of course. Like I didn't, gain 200 pounds just eating a little salads, but there was a lot of Nutella, and there was a lot of, eating alone, like gummy bears. And, there was a lot of just like downing, numbing food, I call them, just food that makes you temporarily, you're just like, yeah,
You get you
like
you get that sugar high.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you get. And then, of course, life catches up, and now you've gained 3 pounds on top of it. So now you're sad and larger. It's not a good, the math is
No,
not
no,
good.
no, it's not a good combination. Definitely not a good combination. Oh, so you're an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah, apparently there's a story. When I was 6 years old, I was gifted like four color pencils. And then I took them to the yard at the school, and then I traded them for four more, and then eight more. And then all of a sudden I have a, a pencil store or something. And yeah, I've always been at 12. I started a company with like clowns and princesses because the parties I was invited to was so boring. I like looking at what is, and just like, what else could we do? How else can we do this? I have that temperament, and I'm very grateful for it, because a lot of people are ridden by fear. So when they see something new or different, they talk themselves out of doing things.
Well,
And
that's because we're programmed. Like,
yeah,
especially here, we was taught go to school, get your education, go to college, get a job, retire from that company with benefits and all these other
uh-huh,
things,
and that'll be that.
and that's it. But
Yeah,
then reality hits, and and none of
and
and
it's
none
not
of that.
that.
Yeah, and it's not that. It's not
No,
you're living paycheck by paycheck. Now companies no longer offer benefits. A lot of companies, if you
yep,
get a 401k and it's matched, that's a lot. Or the health
yep,
benefits that you get are just the prices you pay is just ridiculous. So it's for me. I've always had that entrepreneur spirit where I'm looking into not wanting to work for someone else for the rest of my life.
yeah.
That's not my goal. I don't want to retire at 70 or 67, whatever, and then enjoy the 11 years left of my no. I have to enjoy my life now, enjoy what I do now, enjoy the people that I'm around. And just with me switching my mindset and focusing more on being more positive, it attracts the people that I want in my life.
Correct. That's very true. That's beautiful.
And then and the guests that I attract are are even so amazing as well. It's like, wow, the people I get to have the conversation with and learn from and grow, it's amazing.
It's funny because like now, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, I was in Cali, Colombia. They were doing a conference for peace. They were trying to find ways, the whole conference was about like, what can we do to bring peaceful exchanges, between such political tension and the drug lords, and it's a complex country. And I'd written a book that was about your own accountability and showing up in a way that's, you choose how you show up, basically. And so I was invited to speak at this thing, and um, Desmond Tutu was there, and they lost his translator. Literally, I found afterwards that I found out that she had gotten drunk the night before, so they could. She's nowhere to be found. And I was blessed to. I was raised in Spain, and so I speak fluent Spanish, and I speak French because I'm French, and of course a little English. And so I'm literally like, they're walking around me, and they're like, "Oh my God, we don't have someone to translate." The Archbishop, Nobel Prize guy, and I'm like, "Oh my God, like me, like me, like
I'll
please,
do
like
it.
me." And I spent 4 days. They did. I mean, they really needed someone, and they picked me. And I spent 4 days walking around this absolute, talk about a peace making. He's like this foot. I mean, he's so short. Like he's like this. He's dead now, but he's like this little guy, right? And he's like surrounded with people with like these giant guns, to protect him while he's there. It was just like a crazy scene. And I spent 4 days with him. And as he was talking to me in the car, in the elevator, I was literally like, why am I the only one to hear this? Like, I have to share these conversations. Like, this is so magical, to spend time with people that have, I mean, in this case, he shaped the story of Africa, and certainly of South Africa. So anyway, it was just like this idea that it's like you need to share what's good, and we need to help each other and not focus on all this crap and noise,
No, and
that's out there.
that's why I love my platform. I'm able to provide that. I'm able to bring people on who to, and again, like I said, everyone has a story, and they might not be the same, but it's similar. So someone might be going down a similar path that you went through as far as the weight loss, and something similar to the experience you had growing up, and they listen to this and they hear you, and they're like, okay, she did it.
And yet
Maybe I
we
can
have
do it.
such a different life, right? I'm like
Yeah.
this chick from Paris, but somehow, when comes the time to like, who are we as a soul, as a human, and all of a sudden, we find more. I don't know who somehow the political system or that's really selling us that we're different. That
And we're
you and I
not.
are different because you're a guy, because you're a different color, because you're just. It's like bullshit.
No, it
You and
is.
I
It
have
is.
more in common than
It is.
than
And that's
anything
what I'm
else in this.
realizing by just by doing the podcast,
Yeah,
being able to communicate with people. Yes, we have so many different qualities, but at the core of it, we're so similar.
yeah.
And it comes down to just belief in the person that you are. If your authentic, true self, being then at the core of it all, people are so much similar. They just have us believing that we're different.
Yeah, and somehow someone is benefiting from that. I've kind of started a secret quest to like figure out like who, follow the money, like who's the brain behind like, hey, look at this person across the aisle, they're the enemy. It's like, no, they're not. Like a lion who's hungry is an enemy, maybe, but not this guy that's like out there doing something that's inspiring. I had this dream once where I guess I was in the dream and there was this other guy and we got sliced. Like in the dream, there's this horrible thing where the thing itself was a little traumatic, but we got sliced and I was like, oh my God, you're exactly like me. Like there's a heart, there's the organs, the color, the blood, it's all the bones, right? We're exactly the same. Somehow what's on the outer maybe is a little different, but I just remember having this sense of like, oh wow, like we were lied to, that we have like these ways of sorting each other from gender and color and social whatever. It's just not that
Yeah,
interesting. So we
no,
should
it's
talk
not.
about something else. It's not
No,
that
it's
interesting.
no. But see, that's what's so great is that you get to speak to people, and then when you having the conversation, you get to realize like this is dope. This is dope being able to speak to
Yeah.
someone. You like you said, like you're French and all that. I'm a New Yorican because both my parents are from Puerto Rico. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and here we are. We're talking, and I've spoken to people from Korea, China, Japan, Africa, India, and it's just been, to me, it's been a blessing because had it not been for me doing the podcast, I would have never experienced all these. I wouldn't have gotten to listen to their stories and see that how life is in other countries and all that. So I just continue to just want to have as I just want to keep going as long as possible. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. Like
Good.
I'll take a break. Like I'll take a couple of weeks off and then I get right back to grinding and recording. Like I was bad at one point where I was probably recording 2 or 3 episodes a day for like
That's a lot.
Monday through Friday.
That's a lot.
And you burn yourself out. So I've actually scaled it down now. So my recording days are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. And then the rest of the days, I like Thursday, Fridays is more for me doing my editing and marketing and doing my thumbnails and all that. And then Saturday, Sunday is for me and the wife to go spend that quality time, go out and enjoy life.
Nice. So what are we talking about?
We're talking about you now. We're gonna talk about you a little something more. Okay, so you wrote a book. What's the title of your book?
Well, I both. I wrote
Both.
one that was called "The Power of Personal Accountability," which was more of a business book and helping people understand that they're captain of their ship, if you will. Like you don't have to be a victim of your circumstances. You can create your own life in so many more ways than people think. And the new one is called War and Piece of Cake. And that is about the struggles of that weight loss. It has this beautiful scene of every night I would sit in the refrigerator and eat everything in sight, literally. I mean, Nutella mixed with mayo, like you name it. I would just sit there, and ravioli with strawberry jam. It just was crazy. And I would go back to bed, after doing that, feeling full and completely numb, and then one day I'm sitting, I mean, literally I would pull up a chair, because I would be there for an hour in the cold of the fridge and that horrible fluorescent light. And I heard, I mean, we don't know where inspiration comes from. Like, I don't need to go all spiritual on you, but there was this, like, you can eat whatever you want, but first, what do you feel? Tell me what you feel. And I don't know who said it, but inside of me, there was this clear question that was like, just after that, you can eat whatever you want, but just tell me, what are you feeling? And so I sat I closed the refrigerator and I sat there and I sobbed for, I don't know, what could have been an hour and a half, probably was more for 10 minutes, but I just cried, and the desperation, the loneliness, the scared, all of it. And then I was like, okay, that's wow. And then I went back to bed and I never ate like that again. There was kind of a beautiful realization that all that food was to help me feel these really difficult feelings, which are, by the way, not as difficult as one thinks. Like, I remember and now I feel sad. Like, it may happen while we're talking. It's like, I'll just like burst in like this teary thing, and then I move on. It's like, I don't need to drown in my feelings, but I think a lot of people have developed a lot of behaviors to not feel their feelings. Like, when you search deep into gambling, watching too much porn, watching, playing video games, eating, certainly smoking, doing drugs, I mean, whatever. It's just all these ways that we cannot sit there and be like, fuck, I'm scared right now, whatever that feeling might be. And so I'm on a big journey to just invite people to feel, and that it's not so scary, and it's actually beautiful. And we've kind of shortchanged ourselves a little bit by living these lives that are like, show up for my job, do my job, go home, drink alcohol. It's like, wow, that's like, it would be like living in nature, but like staying inside your little leaf, and never ever going out, Yeah.
I noticed you must have listened to a couple of my episodes, because you dropped the F-bomb. So I know it's okay to curse.
I don't, but I think it's okay to curse.
No, it's perfectly fine.
You can always beep
it's
it.
perfectly fine. I have no people actually, like, they'll always ask me, like, people usually ask me before, like, oh, am I allowed to curse? And I'm like, shit, listen, if you don't curse, I don't trust you.
There, you know what? And it's because I think I was raised in French, in the French language. I don't know that I would curse in French the way I curse in English. I'm just not nobody like hit me in the face.
No, I don't mean you gotta be cursing all the time. I just mean like someone who does not curse at all. No, there's
scary.
something wrong.
Right. And then sometimes it's like, sometimes there's something I want to say, and it's like, there's no other way to say. Like, I don't use it every sentence.
Sometimes, listen,
you just have to, like,
sometimes a good fuck is good. It's good to drop it. It's good. You have to drop it sometimes. It is what it is.
Exactly.
Oh man, that's just I just keep laughing on. And like you said, it started from when we connected at first. we was laughing from the beginning. But
when you meet someone and there's like instantly, I mean, it's probably true that the first 3 seconds, we like animals, if we were to listen to our instincts, we know it's like, oh, this person feels familiar. Oh, this person feels like, I mean, we don't have to be the same, or have the same life journey or whatever. I mean, that's one of the
energy. It's the energy. It's
energy. It's all it is.
The energy. And when it's able to connect, it's even much more amazing to be able to connect with people, and the flow just continuously just goes back and forth. It's not where it's not someone just draining, because there can be guests that you'd be like, oh my god,
how am I gonna get
how long, how much longer, how much more time do I have with this?
I feel like we're gonna have the opposite. We're gonna be like, really, it's been an hour or whatever.
No, but it is. It's so much. It's so much energy. It's different. And like I said, I've been blessed lately with just some amazing guests. but on occasion you get the one guest where
Yeah, it's a little harder, but that's beautiful too, because often people that don't are not in the flow, they have a story, something happened to them, or
yeah.
like people that when you look at kids, they're not afraid until we
Oh
start telling them, don't do this, don't cross the street, don't talk to strangers. And then the kid is like, "Oh, okay, like I'm gonna start, fear becomes the normal expression." But I really believe that if you strip that, we want to share, we want to love people. We all, I mean, don't we all, like, we want to be loved, we want to love others. That's kind of the shtick. And somehow it's like the lines have gotten all staticky, with all the other stuff. But
yeah.
thankfully, there are people like you, and the work I do also helps people reconnect beyond the staticky noise, which is a blessing that we get to do our lives, more on that side of the train tracks.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a great journey. I can, especially now. I've actually been asked to speak at a women's conference. It's my first speaking engagement ever, and I'm nervous. It's
That
like
tells you something, huh? You're invited to the women's circle.
I'm like, oh man, I'm like. She said, you should, I was like, she's like, I would love to have you on. I'm like, you know what? I have to get over that fear.
Yeah,
You know what? Let me do it.
yeah,
And
that's
and
cool.
I just feel so blessed that someone would ask me to come participate in such a thing. It just
Well,
makes me feel like, wow, I'm headed in the right direction.
you're a cool dude.
Thank you. I
We need
appreciate
more
that.
of that.
I just honestly, I just try to be myself. Every episode, I am just the way I am with my family and my friends.
Isn't it crazy that it's such an effort for people it's like,
To be
isn't it
kind,
easier to be yourself? Like, isn't it more
so
work
much easier.
to
Not so much
pretend to
easier.
be someone else? That's a lot of work
Yeah,
and a lot of energy.
it is. It's this honestly since I've started doing it, I've completely like it's not. It's I just I have no filter. Let's put it like that. There's certain things now at work, especially now. I'm like, oh man, y'all just don't know. I'm like 2 feet out the door. Like y'all don't understand. And it's because I love doing this so much. And in this, I feel I love my job. It's an easy job. I get paid to play games. It's
That
easy.
sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm a table games dealer.
Oh, wow.
So it's and like I said it's an easy job. So the worst things is some of you might not get along with some of your coworkers, and some of the players are a pain in the ass. But other than that, it's easy. But again, I started just by starting doing me doing the podcast. I started my production company. I launched the internet radio station. It's just me building on different things. I've gotten my YouTube channel to over 1,000 subscribers. I'm my Instagram following is going up. But it's me putting in the work and all that, and just enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's key.
Yeah, that's just what I wish everyone could find their purpose, find what they love to do.
Yeah. Can you imagine if people I wanted to write a book when I was a kid that had to be with like it was musical chair where there would be no missing chair. The problem is just people are sitting in the wrong chairs. It's like the banker wants to be a guitar player and the guitar player is trying to be a doctor. And it's like all these people are playing the wrong things, because mama said, doctors is good, when the guy really wants to sail a boat, or whatever. But just to find that thing and that lifts you up is incredible. I mean, I don't know why people are not obsessed with that. Like, I would think that's the like it's difficult to I think, and you know what? I think it's related a lot to knowing yourself. Like, a lot of people don't want to put the time, or maybe they're afraid of exploring themselves. But you're afraid of what you don't know, right? Like, that's one of the
Because you're
things that
programmed.
scares us.
Like you said, kids are fearless until we instill the fear in them.
Right, right.
So we have to come and realize and get as as we get older, we need to start realizing that, listen, we need to start taking these fears out of ourselves. Like, we've programmed ourselves to fear these things.
Yeah, it
Like,
wasn't there at first. It really, I mean,
you,
it's appropriate to have fear if a lion is running after you.
oh no, listen, fear.
Then feel fear, but not all day long, expressing myself, going for my purpose, breaking
Yeah,
up a relationship that's not
there's
working.
certain times, like you said, there's certain times you need to be afraid. Yeah, you see a bear
Yeah,
or a mountain lion,
yeah,
and
you should run.
then definitely actually be
Yeah, yeah, you
afraid.
should run.
But to go and want to say you want to be a professional dancer, at least if you go out and attempt and you can't and you realize you're not a great dancer, then at least you went out and you attempted,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
you find you might find something else that you might be a great teacher, might
Yeah,
not be. It's different things, but the point is you attempted to do it. So why, with me holding myself back with not doing the podcast and just making up excuses, had I not finally just kicked in the door and said, you know what, I'm gonna just face fear and do this, I would have been probably still stuck in
not
my
doing it.
mind. Yeah,
Yeah,
not building the relationships that I get to build now.
yeah. It's funny, this someone was talking recently about this definition of the word courage, and I mean, I've heard it before, it's not nothing new, but in this context, that it's not so courage is not the absence of fear, but it is feeling fear and doing it anyway.
Yeah,
That's courage. Like, I don't like, people often speak of me of like I'm fearless a little bit, and I get that, but it's not like I feel scared all the time. I just don't I just don't let it win. I don't give it too much power, and it makes for a really rich life, because the way people live lives is far from their. When you add the fear, when you add society, when you add people's beliefs, when you add people's past, that somehow something didn't work when they were 5 and then they never try it again. It's like that gets people further and further and further from. My work is in productivity. Like, I help people live lives that have a purpose, and often I'll be so surprised. Like, I'll work with someone who's like some badass, successful person, but when you search for a second, like, they're not living the life they want. Like, they don't like. I mean, yes, they've succeeded at something. I mean, that's often why I talk to them. They're already high performers, let's say, but they're often living lives that somebody else's. And then that's like, well, where is success? Like, that's not success. Like, you can show signs, money being one of them, but it's not success if every morning you wake up and you're like, "Bleh, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to, I don't want to work with these people. I don't want to. That's not success for
no,
me.
and it's they can't say money does not bring happiness. Look at
No,
all these celebrities that have committed suicide. Ha, living these listen, you have
because they
rock
live the
star
dream life.
celebrities. Yeah, you would think they have amazing lives doing the things that they do, and they commit suicide. It's so money does not bring happiness. It doesn't. It's necessary, but it doesn't necessarily gonna make you
It's not
happy.
alone that it does. It's not.
Yeah,
It
no,
doesn't bring it just by itself, for sure, for sure.
of course. Yeah, and that's something people like. I've come to learn that like it isn't. It's people like at work. There's guys killing themselves at work. They're working because we're so short staffed that they're working
So hard.
security. They're working front desk, but then they're walking zombies when they're at work. They're like,
Yeah.
so tired. It's not sleep. I'm like, that's not no way to live. I'm no. I prefer to do my 40 hours at work and then come home and do what I truly love, which is,
What we're doing right now.
yeah, this is it right here.
Cool.
And it's crazy. It's just the evolution from where I started. It was just me holding the mic. I didn't have none of the setup I had now. I had a little mixer with a mic. I didn't even have the proper hookups to connect my phone to the mixer. So my first episode was me holding the phone to the mic and talking to my nephew and doing a little 5 minute introduction, whatever it is. And with each episode, I just gradually improved, and it went from
You're
5 minutes to
following your
7 minutes.
purpose.
Yeah, it went
That's
from
great.
5 minutes to 7 minutes to 12 minutes to me started doing 30, 40 minutes, hour-long episodes. But when I figured that this is what I wanted to do, I was furloughed from work for a few months, so I was getting extra money on top of my unemployment. So what I decided to do was I invested in equipment.
Right.
I didn't go spend it on clothes or whatever it was. I went and invested on a quality mic, a quality mixer, a quality camera, and just started taking courses on editing programs and all these different things because I wanted to invest in myself. I wanted to develop myself because this is something I found that I love to do. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best at it possible.
And it's interesting because one of the ways that I coach people when I work with people is do a step. Like we're not saying quit your job and go become, the thing overnight, But I coached a guy years ago who wanted to go around the world on a boat, like in a sailboat. And so when I started working with him, I was like, well, that's really cool. Like, so you sail boats? He was like, no, I've never been on a boat. And I was like, oh, so that's okay. So that's a big journey for you. But then we decided, let's do one thing. So he goes and he buys a book about sailing boats. And now he, gets a little more familiar. Then he becomes friends with this guy who has a boat and he goes and spends a little bit of time on the boat on the weekend. And 2 years later, he's sailing around the world on his boat, But it didn't start overnight. Like, how do we break down in smaller bites? Like what you're describing, like you didn't drop the job and then, cracked all your 401k, on equipment. You did it slower in a way that you didn't scare yourself. Like you did it in a way that was like, okay, I'll do this one thing and then I'll do this one thing. And then the next thing you know, I coach people all day to like write books. And it's like, you don't sit and write a book. You sit for 20 minutes or 30 minutes and you brainstorm titles. You break it down into smaller things so that when you sit down to do them, your body doesn't go like, oh my God, like I can't, write a book. It's like climb a mountain, you don't climb
I'm
mountains.
not a writer, but I'm working on a book, but it's on what I've learned doing the podcast.
Right.
It's basically
That's your own story.
the steps that I've taken to build my podcast, and I figured, hey, listen, because everything I've learned is self-taught. I went and did the research and everything, and as far as microphones and everything, and the programs that I use, I just like, you know what? Let me just, how about if I write a little book on
How to
explaining,
do it. Yeah, that's
on
great.
explaining and doing it, and then even with the episodes that I have so much great content of little nuggets that people share each episodes that fit perfect into a book. So there's so many different things. That's why I started doing the video, because that's more
Right.
content for me to be able to use and grow.
Right.
So
Yeah, you're
it's
following. I mean, you're certainly following the steps to get closer to what matters to you. That's beautiful.
yeah, it's so, like I said, I just wish everyone could experience it. I wish everyone could just find what they love to do and be able to do it.
Well, maybe listening to what we said today could do a little something for that.
Yeah, hopefully. Um, but see, I love this because you. A lot of my guests, yes, a lot of them do come prepared, but you have a pretty good mic.
I do have a good mic. I do have a good mic. I'm kind of a stickler for. I'd rather not have than have something,
No,
But
no, I can see you have a really good mic.
yeah,
Just the
it's a
sound quality in it is good.
good
So,
mic. It's right there. It's a
yeah.
good. Yeah, I do a lot of podcasts as well.
So, do you have your own podcast or
I,
no?
you know, I did something 10 years ago, which when you were telling me earlier, I was really touched. I did it's still a website. I mean, now it's an archive, but it's called Life by Me. And I interviewed 900 people. And that was way before podcasts and blogs, and the
Yeah,
blog didn't even exist, the word yet. And I did that was the point. I interviewed people that were very different, but always with, what is meaningful to you. And then you would see someone that was like, head of state, and they would say the same thing as some mother of five, in Wichita. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we are all the same. I mean, I guess that was already my topic. And so I like being a guest on other people's podcasts. For now, it's kind of fun, to just
It's the
be in your
best.
world. Yeah.
Being a guest is the
Yeah.
best.
It's fun. I
No, no,
don't have,
listen. I love being a guest because it saves me on work. I don't have
yeah, it's
to.
a lot of work
I
being
don't have
on
to
podcast.
edit anything. I don't have. So being a guest is the perfect position.
Yeah.
I love when I go be a guest on someone's show. They're like, "Oh, thanks for being." I'm like, "Listen, no, I appreciate being on your
No,
show.
thank you.
I,
Exactly. Thanks
I
for
don't
you.
have to do the
You're the
work.
one that's
Yeah,
going to do
you're
the
the one
work
who's
with
got to do the
people.
work. I don't got to do the work this time."
That's
So,
funny. Yeah. No, you're going to be the one sitting there and editing, whatever. Yeah.
but no, it's oh man, I love this so much. And
Why do you
people
do it?
actually
Like, what do you think is you like it, but what is like, what do you think people get from listening to you? Like, does that play a piece for
okay.
you?
So all right, I had me and a friend. I've so far I've interviewed a couple of friends of mine that I grew up with. So me and a friend of mine, one of the he is killing the real estate market in Brooklyn right now.
Cool.
And he does little YouTube things and little fun, and he's a great personality. And I had him on, and we did a great show. And one of our classmates from high school listened to the episode, and she was on the fence about starting her business. And when she heard us talk about manifestation and goal setting and building what
Yeah.
we're building,
That inspired her.
she sent me a message. She goes, listening to you guys that I grew up with, guys that I know
Like her.
personally,
Yeah.
listening to you guys talk about what you're doing, and I'm starting my own business. I've been on the fence for a minute. I'm gonna do it. So that's why I do it. That's why. Because if it's one person like I've inspired, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
That's enough. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That's beautiful. Well done.
Yeah. So stories like that is what I love to do. Is just hearing people tell me like, "Yo, keep doing what you're doing." Like even when I first started, people that I know listen to podcasts will listen to me and be like, "Yo, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing good. Just keep
Yeah.
doing. Just keep going." So that's encouraging when you hear people that you know that you respect and know that they listen to podcasts. They
Right.
sit there and listen to it, and to come from them, it's like
And
okay,
you make a difference. Yeah.
yeah,
That's a big deal. Hmm.
it's a big step. So now it's time of the show where, well, you know what? No, I'm gonna change it up.
What are we doing?
We're gonna play a quick game.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
we're gonna
in.
play a quick game. We're not. Yeah, sometimes I bring out the game, sometimes I don't. But I'm gonna bring it out now. It's called Would You Rather.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Would you rather never be able to use search engines again or never use your smartphone apps again?
Oh, definitely search engine. Like I would rather use my apps.
You rather use your apps? Okay.
Yeah.
That was an easy one. That was an easy one.
Yeah, that's easy.
Okay. Fart in an elevator full of strangers or belch loudly while giving an important presentation at work.
Fart in an elevator, I think.
Because you can blame it on anybody.
No, I would just, no. But
Well, because
belching when I'm
it could be a
talking,
silent and
really
deadly one, so you
uncomfortable.
don't know who did it.
That's
But the
true.
belch,
The belch is you. Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah,
know you're at the
I'm gonna go with
presentation
that.
at work. Like,
Yeah.
dude, what did you have? Sauerkrauts and hot dogs for lunch? Like, come on. All right, so okay, yeah, I agree with the fart one. All right, I don't know. Maybe you probably know who these are. Okay, would you rather your voice sound like Gilbert Godfrey or Fran Drescher?
Oh my God, please not Fran. Love her, but woof. No, that'd be horrible. Definitely not her.
So you would rather sound like the Aflac duck,
I
Gilbert
guess
Godfrey?
so. I mean, yes, anything but. Sorry, Fran.
All right, the final one. Okay. Would you? No, not that one. I don't like that one. All right. Would you rather have your jaws wired shut for a month, drinking only out of a straw,
Oh,
or wear an eye patch for a year?
well, funny enough, I wore an eye patch for a year, actually almost 2 years. So I'll pick that.
You pick that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was fine. That was fine. I learned to look at the world very differently.
Differently.
That was a
All
good
right.
thing. Yeah.
I see. I didn't even know that. So listen. Things just happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
All right. So now it's time, part of the show where you plug away. Just promote everything you got. Websites, books, everything.
Well, I mean, the plug, I don't know plug, but I have a quiz on my website that I think people derive a lot of value. And it's on now. So the website is called Be Current Today, BECURRENT today, becurrenttoday.com. And there is a quiz on there that really helps people understand how they get stuff done. It's like a lot of people are trying to accomplish more and they don't necessarily know about themselves in that space, and so they struggle, and the it's very cool. I would send people to that. The quiz is very cool.
I'm gonna actually go take the quiz.
Yeah, I'd love to. Like, send me a text. I'd love to hear where you are. I have a sense of what you are, actually. But let's see if I was right. Very fun.
I'll definitely check it out. All right. So, but that don't leave just yet. I'm gonna give my shout outs, but we're gonna talk a little bit after we're done.
Cool. I'm here.
All right. So, big shout outs to my Real Wise fam, Bobby J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina. Love you, baby, and appreciate you. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you. Be safe. And you know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter at @wise_b_blunt, Instagram at @wise_b_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/wise76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.